Guys, it's the weekend. It's Duggar time, and we are back. I am so sorry that we did not get to do a video last week for Duggar time. It's a very busy time. Teaching in 2020 is not for the faint of heart. I'm just gonna let you know that. So I'm sorry last week there was no video, but this week we are back, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we're back. Last week I wanted to talk more about Jill. 2 weeks ago I talked about Jill and Jana's relationship a little bit and my theories on it, and things happened 2 weeks ago and she posted more and it kind of was like more confirmation for me. But now Jill has dropped this interview with people that is wild, and we need to unpack this, and we need to talk a little bit about current events and put it all together. So if you're with me, stay with me. We are here. Before you do anything, click the like button. Do me the favor if you like Duggar Time, you want to see more Duggar Time, and leave a comment down below afterwards. Tell me what you think. And don't forget to subscribe, because every week we're going to keep these up, all right? Now, Jill just dropped the story with people, and I think her biggest purpose of doing this was to tell her side of the story about leaving Counting On and the rift that it's created within her family. So Jill says that they weren't allowed to take jobs anywhere. They weren't allowed to move anywhere without consent from Jim Bob and the show and the network. And that kind of was the crux of their decision to leave. She's also Derek has also made this statement before when he talked to Without a Crystal Ball. So this is not new information, but this is the first time Jill's saying this information. And it kind of confirms what a lot of people think. I do think that there's more layers, I've talked about this before, than just them not being able to make their own decisions. But they did talk a little bit about that and how that was really the crux of the issues within the family, and the reason why they're not on good terms with their family right now. I'm sure more has happened since then. I think there's been, diminished communication between the family since then. Jim Bob and Derek are very strong personalities, strong leaders of their house. Jim Bob used to have control over Jill, now Derek does. And there's a tug of war there. And I'm not gonna call anybody an angel in this situation, but as far as what the Dillards are saying, there was a big issue. The family took issue with it when she left the show. I got it. So then Jim, Bob, and Michelle, they make a statement to people essentially saying more or less that every family has issues, which is true, and that they hope that their relationship is restored. And so they do want a relationship with Jill, Derek, and the boys, but they're pretty much confirming that none exists right now. Now, we always talk about how Jessa does damage control, but I think that Jill does preemptive damage control. Okay, Jessa after the fact, Jessa will go and we'll do something, or she'll post a video, right, that kind of contradicts what Jill or whoever else is saying. But Jill does things in advance so that people can have like a good opinion, but she's always with her sister, she's always reaching out to people. So she's hung out with Jessa twice or 3 times in the weeks to this article coming out. So I don't know if they talked about that there was an article coming out or that she spoke to people, but I do know that public opinion at that point is oh, look, they are hanging out. So the issue's not with Jessa. I don't know. And then, guys, I told you that she was crying out to attention for Jana a few weeks ago, right? We discussed this when she posted that about the cucamelons on her story, and so then she does this other post. I'm gonna pull up the post. Hold, please. So you can look at the post. It's from Jill's Instagram. She posted this on October 12th. She puts Happy Monday, and then for the Happy Monday she puts a random emoji of somebody doing somersaults. And she puts, okay, maybe I'm not doing cartwheels. I haven't ever been able to do them, LOL. Always left that to my sister, Jana Duggar. But we are all enjoying the beautiful weather this morning while biking Israel to school. The rest of the post has nothing to do with cartwheels. Nobody's doing a cartwheel in her picture. I don't know why she picked the cartwheel emoji. The only reason she did that was to insert something about Jana. And Jana does not respond oh my gosh, yeah, I remember when I would do cartwheels. No. okay? She'll click like on the picture, but she's not interacting with her otherwise. This is not it. This is not it. This is not it. She goes to a craft fair, okay, with Jessa and Joy. There's a little bit of virtue signaling in that post. Listen. Goes with her sisters and all their little kids, okay? And the only ones wearing masks are Jill and Sam, which, hey, I commend them for wearing a mask. But then when they're outside the craft fair and they're taking a picture, they don't take their mask off, and it felt like a dig. It felt like, Sam, keep your mask on for the picture. I'm going to take a selfie of me and my sisters, all of us outside, away from everybody else, and I'm not going to pull down my mask so that I can show everybody that we're the responsible people in this family. If y'all didn't get that, I'm sorry, but that's what I got from it. But anyway, she's at a craft fair, and Jana's not there. She's at a craft fair without Jana. She's at a craft fair without Jana. The rabbits are getting upset with all my excitement. Listen. And then I posted about this on my fan page, and somebody responds like, they were probably in Big Sandy. Like, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to that. Okay. Because I want to go back now that we're on this train. I want to go back to People Magazine. I want to go back to People Magazine and what Jill says about the LGBTQ plus community. And I think this has to be said. I think we have to make a big deal out of this because we have to call a spade a spade. And Jill and Derek are not allies of the LGBTQ plus community publicly or privately. Okay? She essentially said that if her kids were like this when they grew up, that she would not condone or accept that she would always love them, but she would not condone or accept that behavior, and she really wouldn't go into specifics when people pressed her, which essentially means that as long as her kids live in her house, they would not be allowed to be who they were should they be part of the LGBTQ plus community, which we know is not a choice, okay? So let's move past that, whatever backwards theology that she's thinking right now, because you don't have to have a statement on the LGBTQ plus community. You can decline. You can say, I deal with my relationships in private. You can just look. I look at people by their actions, and I talked about this before about how Ginger and Jessa are more supportive people than Jill is, and this is why I believe it. She's holding tight to this. She's holding tight to this theological point that is not a theological point. Okay, because there's a lot of things that her family does that goes against what is in the Bible. The fact that Derek shaves goes against what is in the Bible because he's supposed to have a long beard. Like, there's quite a few things that she's doing that go against little things in Leviticus that you want to go back into right now. Now, you can say as a Christian that you don't believe that marriage is between a man and a woman because in Romans it says that. Nobody's hating on you for that. Nobody's hating on anybody for saying, I think that only a man and a woman should get married. There's a difference between saying that and saying, like, I'm not condoning this in my life, in my home. I'm not going to accept people like this. And then in the same breath, say that you have friends and family that are LGBTQ+. What? You have friends and family like this, but you wouldn't accept your son like this because your son is better than your friends and your family? No. Like, this is so out there and so terrible, and it is so the reason why her relationships, I think some of her relationships are failing. Like, let's go back to the Duggars and how they feel about this. How they feel about this topic in general. Now, we have an idea of what the Duggars believe because we know the organizations they're a part of, we know the churches they're a part of. There's a girl who, I'll link her if I can remember. But she was somebody had connected to James Duggar at some point, and they thought maybe they were dating. They're just friends from church. Anyway, she posted on her TikTok once, some like misconceptions about what they believe, and the Duggars are kind of like part of their church. And part of it addressed the LGBTQ plus community and about how she does not have any hate towards them, and neither do the Duggars, that is not what their theology is. So I'm not telling you that they're an open and affirming church, but let's just look at what they've said publicly about this. What I really want to address is the people that have actually said things specifically towards this community, Jeremy and Josh, and they've talked against gay marriage, but they've never condemned this group of people and said, you know, they're an abomination and we need to be separate from them. That has never come out of their mouths, okay? And so there's a difference. Like, you can believe that two people shouldn't get married, but you can support them as your family members because you love them. And I feel like a lot of people are in that position here in this country. So perhaps the Duggars know and they understand that we're all sinners. We're all falling short of the glory of God. We all need Jesus, but everyone deserves to be happy. And so that comes through time, and that comes through experience, and it comes through having a little bit of an open mind over the years. You know, perhaps they just love their brothers and sisters who we believe happen to be a part of this community. Like, there's a lot that has come out that there are at least 2 people in this family, right? Maybe just 1 that belong to this community. Dude, that's your brother or your sister. Like, it bothers me so much that Jill is holding so tight to this specifically, like as if that's her Christian conservative street cred. Like, it's not winning anybody towards Christ. Jill, I hope you're listening, because I like you. I think you're a good person. I think you have a good heart, but I think that you're just going to follow whatever man tells you that this is what the Bible says. And you have to know that if there's somebody in your family that is like this, that they need you, okay? They don't need your condemnation. They don't need you to go out into people and to say something that you probably, maybe you said it to their face, and maybe that's why your relationship broke down. I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired. So ask me why I think Ginger and Jessa are supportive by their actions. Like, they never exclude family members from anything. They include them in the most important family events that you only include family for. Ginger and Jessa don't have to make a statement that they're pro or against anything, because I can tell by their actions that they are pro family. They're pro love. They're pro making sure their brothers and their sisters are happy. And they're going to do what it takes to help them. So, let's go back to that craft fair, because I have a small conspiracy theory. Okay, so people said, they sent me a message, hey, they're probably in Big Sandy. Jana's probably in Big Sandy. That's why she didn't go to the craft fair with Jill and Jessa and Joy. I don't think that. I think, personally, the hunch that Jana and Laura were out of town. And I said on my stories on Instagram, if some of you watched, I said I think they're in Indiana. Just a hunch. And I said, I kept the receipts. I said, I think that based on their patterns of posting, Laura will post a picture next week, and Jana will post a picture in 2 weeks, and they'll have some fall leaves around them, and you'll know that they weren't in the Southeast. Ding, ding, ding. Laura posted a picture this week of her in Indiana. Somebody else took the picture. So I don't know what to tell you, but just keep an eye open. Come back here if Jana posts a picture and some leaves. Please. And tell me that I was right. I kept the receipts on it. I was right about Laura. And she posted a really interesting song too. Woo, child. When she made that post on her story. But I'll link the song down below. Alright, all this to say, the rift between Jill and Jana is real. And I can't for sure tell you that it's because of what she said in the article. But I think that there's more to it than just Jana being on Jim Bob's side. Because Jessa is on Jim Bob's side. A lot. And Jessa needs Jim Bob. But Jessa's taking Jill coffee and going out to craft fairs with her and hanging out with her and responding to her. And Jana is not. So I think this is beyond picking which side of the family you want to be on. I think that there's more to it than that. I think you know, one more sidebar. We know that Jana was Jill's maid of honor, but I just feel like it was because they were the closest in age, and Jill isn't really particularly close to any of her siblings. Like, Ginger and Jessa are really close, and they have been since birth. Obviously, Jana and John are really close, and they have been since birth. Joe and Josiah, Josiah, and Joy, essentially. Jer and Jed. I mean, almost all of them, except for, I would say, Josh and Jill, really had somebody that they were that close to. And we know that Jill was the family snitch. So maybe all of that history, has led up to this. Maybe Jill was snitching on Jana when they were younger. Maybe she's still a snitch. Maybe they just don't trust her. I don't know. But the whole thing is a travesty. The whole thing is a travesty. Because families should not have to deal with this. Look, you can not get along with your family, and you can choose not to hang out with them, and that's cool. Like, I don't hang out with my family all the time because they drive me bananas. Like, everything turns into a political conversation. I don't need that in my life. I need peace. I get it. But fights like this, like, nobody knows here in this world when we're going to die. And I think the worst thing and the saddest thing is for somebody to die and go to the grave, and the person who's left behind, because the person who's in the grave isn't worried about it anymore, but the person who's left behind has to deal with that guilt for the rest of their life, that this is the relationship they left on earth, that they never got to reconcile with that person before they died. And that can eat you up, man. So, man, if I can just talk to the Duggars for 2 seconds, I would just tell them that it is not worth it. The money, the theological differences, the show, none of it is worth it if your relationships are not intact. That's number one. So if the show has killed your relationships, then maybe you should cut the show for a little bit. Okay? And if the show's going to be what brings the family together, then use that as a vehicle for it. But everybody's just got to chill in that family and reconcile and figure it out. Apologize to each other, even if there's nothing more to apologize about, because life is too short. My Bible verse for this week is Ephesians 4:32. This is actually my favorite verse, or the verse that I try to live by. Okay, so, and I thought it was very fitting this week. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. The world is about forgiveness. It's not about holding people accountable. The only person you need to be accountable to is God. So, I understand people fight, people have difference of opinions, people want to help each other, people want to build each other up. But forgiveness is more important than anything. And if you're a Christian, love, forgiveness, that's it. That's the testimony you have to give to the world. So, Duggars, if you're listening, forgive each other, love each other, end this already. End this nonsense. Get the family back. It's my story. That's Duggar Time for today. So, if you look at the description box below, I've got my Instagram there linked. You can go ahead and follow my page. You can leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this. And we'll be back next week. Duggar Time. Let's go. Oh. My shoes. You guys love watching my shoes. I got the Converse on today. It's a little bit of a classic, guys. My hat, representing the Birmingham Iron, which no longer exists. That was such a good football league. It's not happening anymore. Some of my students have told me that I need to do a shoe channel, that I need to show you a little bit of my shoe collection. So if you want to see that, leave a comment down below. Have a good time, guys. Be blessed.